go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Today we're working on this little curb find. It's a Toro blower, and it's somebody else's trash, but when we're done with it, it's going to be somebody else's treasure because it's got a ton of compression. When I put a little fuel and throw it to the carburetor, it tries to start. But even though it primes up when you put fuel in the gas tank, no matter how much you choke it, no matter what you do, no gas gets through. So if you've got the tools and a little experience, this would be a time to rebuild the carb. For a homeowner, the best thing to do is go buy a cheap aftermarket carb, put it on 99.9% of the time, it'll be fine. So all you new people out there, go ahead and subscribe. It's free and it's what we work for. So let's get started. Let's get you over here. There you go. Let's crank up the lights a whole lot. There you go. Now you can see what we're doing. Let's get it over here so we get better light to it. Put you right there. Okay. First thing we'll do, let's get the old carb off. Now, remember, take the gas cap off, or at least loosen it before you do it, because if there is fuel in the tank, it'll try to feed back through the lines, and you'll have a mess on your hands. In this case, I emptied it. I think the last one of these I did, I forgot to empty the gas tank. And I got lucky just because one of the fuel lines were broken anyway. So there she is. She is a mess and a half. So we know these fuel lines are useless. So they're out of here. We'll go ahead and put new ones on. Let's grab our little fuel line running tool. Now people will tell you a lot of different ways to do this, and a lot of different ways to put new fuel lines in something. But I'll tell you what, that's the way to go. 100% of the time. Just feed it into the fuel line holes one at a time. We'll take this, we'll put a little tapered edge on it. Can you guys see what I'm doing? You can see what I'm doing. See, now we get it to hook on, and we pull it back through very gently, sort of. And that's going to happen occasionally. Did we get enough through it to grab it? Probably not. Oh man, that's so close. Nope. Let's try it again. Now you want to make sure you get the correct fuel line for it. But if you buy a carb kit, it'll usually come with a fuel line attached to it already. We're going to redo our taper. And the reason we're doing it is to get the little part that we shredded trying it the first time off of it. Let's see how that went. That might work. We're still awfully close to the edge. This fuel line feels a little bit fat for this one. And there we go. She's sticking through. So now, here's a little trick. Put the fuel filter on now. And then put it in the tank. Because trying to get that filter on later while you're doing this. Ouch. See, and there we go. Now we'll watch the filter. And we'll get it right where we want it and take up all the slack. A little bit of a curve in the fuel line. Okay, now she's sitting on the bottom. And we laid the filter in. You take a look, you can see it laying way down there deep. It's laying square up on the bottom of the tank. I carried you just a little bit higher so you could see what was going on. I realized you couldn't really see the top of the tank doing that one. So let's do the return line. So I cut this line when I had enough. Now we've tapered the return line. We're going to put it on here. And I use a grinder to sharpen the point on this so that it's easier to thread the line on it. And then when you pull it through, you push back a little bit because you know that your little hook's on the inside of the curve. There we go. Now we'll pull that the rest of the way through. Now we've got a fantastic little return line. And again, that does not have to be in the fuel. It makes no difference at all. So we'll cut that there. Okay, now I'm going to cheat a little bit on this one, and I'm going to go ahead and rebuild this carburetor. But the only reason I'm doing it is I do this all day long, and I don't want to spend 22 bucks, and the carburetor is $22 for the Toro Power Vac. So if you're running one of these, I'd just spend the $22, buy an aftermarket carb, and be done with it. Okay, we've got her all ready to go, so let's get her back together. This is the original carburetor with a rebuild, and I know I've said it 2 or 3 times already, but I strongly suggest if you're doing it yourself, just go ahead and buy a carburetor. It's got a rubber gasket on this end, so I don't need a gasket on the front. And what we'll do here is we'll put the gasket here on the studs. Got to do it this way because I need to get the linkage in first. There's one. I know you can't see much. Be patient for 1 second. And make sure you don't cover the little breather hole right here when you're doing it, because then it won't pump any fuel. Okay, if you hear that noise in the background, that's my wife trying to sneak around behind the camera. So there we go. Now let's put the fuel lines on and see if she runs. Okay, we got her rolling, so let's get the fuel lines on. Now this is my return line. And I know you can't see this very much. And it's not much easier for me too. And since we know our lines are pretty close to the right size, I'm going to go ahead and cut them now. I'm working kind of in the dark, so I'm eeny-meeny which one's which. So we're going to take this. And remember, when you cut the fuel lines, you can't cut them longer. So don't be too ambitious about cutting them unless you're absolutely sure. The return line you can shove in a little bit farther, but the one with the fuel filter on it, you want to get the filter in a specific place. And it's a beautiful thing. So now the big question, will she run? Let's give her a pull. Everything looks good. That was promising. It's smoking a little. That means she probably flooded at one point or another. Okay, it's still a little smoky in here, but I've got the fans running, so she'll clear out in just a couple of minutes. Now that one smoked a little bit when she first started, but as you can see now, it both starts and runs great, and smoke's gone. If you have one that smokes like that, turn it so the exhaust is straight down and run it wide open for about 30 seconds. Then turn it so the carburetor is straight down and run it wide open for about 30 seconds. And 99% of the time, that'll take care of the smoke completely. It'll usually come from gas that's laying in the bottom of the case. And the idea is to get it into the system and to burn through it. There's no oil in the case, so you're not burning oil. The only other thing that could cause it to smoke would be if you had way too much oil in your fuel mixture. And if you got way too much oil in your fuel mixture, the only thing you can possibly do is make it hard to start, and you can clog the spark arrestor screen. Okay, for all you new people out there, go ahead and subscribe. And for everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.